All right, Ray. So what we have been talking about for a very long time is people are not buying brand new cars. So what are they doing? They are fixing their cars longer. But this brand new report that we've just seen from Automotive News goes completely against that. And I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about this. So we have Advanced Auto Parts, which is a parts store. They're closing 500 stores. And they say it's because of sluggish demands. And I know that this group, they have 6,300 stores, so they're closing almost 10% of their stores because they're having a hard time selling these aftermarket parts. And this would go completely against what we've been saying. People are keeping their cars longer; they're fixing their cars longer. But this says something different. What do you think?
I read that article. I saw that, and I thought to myself, how can this be so? We keep seeing statistics that the average age of vehicles on the road today is, I think, 12.6 years old. Well, there is no way that at the average age of 12.6 years that those vehicles don't need or have not needed parts. And that most people say, I don't want to go to the dealership to buy the parts because I know I'm going to have to pay too much for them. So I see this thing where people are holding on to their cars longer than they ever have. There are more and more used car dealers like yourself, specializing in the $5,000 and below, and even if you extend it to $10,000 and below used cars, those vehicles need parts. Either when they've been reconditioned by you or other dealers, and you're not going to the OEM to get the parts. So it just something doesn't feel right about this. There's something wrong somewhere. How can people hold on to cars longer, especially older cars, and not want to take them back to the dealer when they need something? And then have parts stores going out of business because sales are sluggish. Something's missing.
Yeah, so I've got two things here. So I can tell you what we used to do as far as parts when we were trying to save more money. Is maybe it's a thing of these dealerships, these mechanic shops. Maybe stuff's getting so rough on them with inflation, with the cost of employees, all that stuff going up. I wonder if they're trying to figure out ways to pinch pennies, and I can tell you what we used to do when we were trying to do that. But first, I have a speculation. So we were just talking about this before the show, that maybe there's so much tech that's in these newer cars. Even if you look at cars that are like 2014, 2015 and up, those cars now have been on the road for almost 10 years.
Yes.
And these are the cars that we're talking about people are keeping longer. So when they're keeping those cars longer, when they go in to fix something on this car that's a 2016, 2017, maybe it's getting to be the way of maybe it's too difficult for the shade tree mechanic now to work on a lot of these vehicles. I know when I go check out cars, even for my stuff's $5,000 and under. We look at older cars, but even so, just to diagnose a lot of the problems that are going on with these cars now, we have to have full-fledged computers hooked up to we have scanners.
Mm-hmm.
We've had sponsors from different code reader companies, but I've probably got 30 different scanners at my shop to help my guys figure out what's wrong with these cars. And we have different scanners for different systems.
Mm-hmm.
We have all this different these different kind of tools to be able to help us fix these cars that are older than the cars that we're talking about right here. So I'm almost wondering if shade tree mechanics are getting into some of these 2016, 2017 cars and realizing, okay, I can't fix this, or the do-it-yourselfers are figuring out I can't do this. So when they figure out they can't do that, they're more apt to take that car to the dealership to get that fixed. And that dealership is not buying parts from Advance. They're not buying it from AutoZone. They're buying it straight from the manufacturer. I've got a buddy who runs parts for a GM store,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not running parts just for GM. He's going to other dealerships and picking up parts from Honda. He's picking up parts from Toyota and bringing them back to their service center, because when these franchise dealers, these Fords, these Toyotas, these kind of service centers are putting parts in, they're not putting aftermarket parts in. They're putting genuine. Is my South coming out, right? They're putting genuine Honda, Toyota, Ford parts in these cars, and maybe that's where AutoZone, Advance are losing some of their business.
I could see where that could be part of it. I mean, there's so many proprietary parts to these vehicles from every manufacturer these days, systems that are only available through certain manufacturers. So perhaps the parts would only be available that way. But even the OEMs have admitted that the parts that they produced, that they're selling as original equipment, those parts aren't perfect. So if they're saying, hey, they're good, they're not as good as they could be, but they're good enough, well, then why wouldn't people spend less and get them at neighborhood parts stores?
Because it's not up to the people. It's up to the shops, and the shops make more off that $170 Honda coil than they're going to make off that $10 Amazon coil that they can get.
Or they could get the $10 Amazon coil and mark it up to $70, as opposed to buying the $170 coil that probably has $30 or $40 markup in it. It's just it seems. I mean, I just think something's missing, and maybe the part that's missing is that perhaps the markup that Advance Auto Parts stores is using means that they are not as competitive as they should be with other parts vendors. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe they're not competitive with AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whoever all the others are that are out there. Because it just seems you can't have as many older cars on the road as we have, and parts stores that specialize in parts for those type of vehicles struggling. There's a disconnect somewhere, and the disconnect could be in management. The disconnect could be in the software I don't know what the disconnect is, but something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't seem right. You would think if people are keeping cars longer, that same store sales should go up at these type of locations, and they shouldn't necessarily be struggling.
Yeah, so there's another thing in this article that kind of loops back to what I was saying. It says aftermarket parts stores compete directly with auto dealer service departments. The reduced do-it-yourself parts sales suggest more consumers are opting to let dealerships and other auto maintenance providers handle their car upkeep. So what this is saying, and this is kind of what I alluded to earlier, is that, because fewer people are opting to fix their cars themselves, maybe people are fixing their cars more. I mean, we know that people are fixing their cars more and hold them longer, but maybe there's a reluctance of people that are there's fewer people that are out there that want to actually work on their cars. And I think it comes down to, just more moving parts that are in these cars now. There are more sensors. There are more things. Gone are the days when you have just a few things that can really go wrong, where you're going in and worried about your system's being clogged or whatever. Clean it out. Oh, it's good to go. No, now you have O2 sensors are faulty. You have all of these electronic moving parts. You have electronic throttles now. You have so many things that are in a lot of cases you can't fix. You could times ago you go in and rebuild a carburetor. You go in rebuild starters. You rebuild all these things. And now what is it? You just replace them. So
Yeah,
that should be a thing that would help automotive stores like Advance, but we're not seeing that. So I think it's just that people don't want to work on their cars anymore, so they
I
pay somebody else to do it.
I get that, but you will never convince me, and I spent 43 years in retail automotive. You will never convince me that the people who keep their cars the longest, okay, are ever going to choose to bring it into a new car dealership to get it serviced when something breaks. They are going to use their local independent mechanic because they know they could get it done for less. And that local independent mechanic is not going to that dealership to buy the parts that they need. They're going to I mean, Advance must have a lot of wholesale accounts with independent mechanics. So I just, I, if you can't afford to get a new car, and you choose to keep a car longer than you ever have in the past because you can't afford a new car, you can't afford to take it to the dealership to get it serviced. You need to take it somewhere else to get it serviced. And at a certain point, most people choose to go elsewhere. So it just, I don't know. It just, I don't get how Advance can't be advancing their sales of these parts. It just, something isn't adding up. And I saw in the comments some suggested, well, they're buying the parts online. Well, I don't know. You mean to tell me Advance doesn't have an online presence to be able to sell parts to people? I mean, everybody and their brother has, some type of online business to sell whatever it is they sell.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about just a little bit earlier. My second thing that I wanted to bring up about this is when we were pinching pennies a little bit more, when money was more important than time in our
Yeah.
business, I was buying everything off Amazon.
Okay.
The reason being is those coils that I was talking about earlier. I would go to Advance. We have a corporate account with Advance. We have a corporate account with AutoZone. I would go to either one of those places. Those same coils would be $70 at Advance or AutoZone for one, and
Yeah.
I could go on to Amazon and buy 4 of them for $40. Yeah, the coils that I would get from Advance and from AutoZone would be from a better company. They wouldn't be. They would most likely probably last longer.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you could get 4 of them, and you could throw 2 of them in the car for the customer. So when one goes out, they can just throw in the next one, and I would still end up saving so much money. And maybe this is the way that things are going, and why Advance is suffering so much. It might not be because people are taking their cars to get them fixed more, like you're saying. They're working on them more. They're taking them to independent shops. It might be that the independent shops and now these shade tree mechanics are finding ways to save money, and the easiest way to do that is by buying cheaper parts. And there's no better way to buy cheaper parts than to buy them through Amazon.
So the issue, from what you're saying, is brick and mortar stores, with the added expense of the real estate involved, really can't compete against online resellers of stuff who, in many cases, don't even have to stock the parts. They get whoever they buy the parts from to ship it directly to their customer that ordered the part. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe we've entered the age where the convenience of having a local neighborhood store isn't a convenience anymore. You'd rather wait a day and have it shipped in.
And I haven't looked into their earnings or anything like that. I mean, I know generally we look at a lot of these companies that this was just a surprising thing I saw this morning for Advance, and I wanted to pull it up and talk about it, try to figure out maybe what's going on. And it might be some underlying things and not from actual demand. But this article says from sluggish demand, and that's why we are talking about this here. But this comment says that Advance has too much debt to service from expanding too fast. That might be true. That's something that we'll have to look into, but it doesn't answer from what Automotive News is saying and from what the company is saying, that they're experiencing sluggish demand. And that's very surprising to myself and to Ray. And this is why we're talking about it here, because this should not be the case.
Well,
There should be more parts being bought right now.
is there anything in the article that states what their same store sales are? Are they up? Are they down? Are they are they neutral? I mean,
it says the company posted a third quarter net loss from continuing operations of 25.3 million compared with a loss of 74 million during the same period last year. That's
well, it's got to be better.
oh my goodness, yeah. So I mean, it might. There's a management problem here. There's an operations problem here, and maybe their prices are too high, but those parts are being bought and they're being bought somewhere. Maybe they're not being bought at Advance. And there's going to be a reason for that. Either their prices are too high, they're not carrying the right things that they need to carry, or they're not doing marketing right. I mean, that could be it could have something that's has nothing to do with the car market whatsoever. Something's going tremendously wrong here at Advance, and they're fumbling because right now people are spending more money on parts, in my opinion, than they've ever spent before.
So it almost sounds, I hate to say this, like a management issue. Yeah. When you get right down to it, because everything being equal, with people keeping their cars longer today and the average age of the cars on the road today higher than it's ever been, well, part sales would continue to grow. I mean, it's if we are becoming more and more like Cuba as far as how long people keep their cars, well, people are going to need parts. So it sounds like maybe at Advance it's just a management issue. Maybe they expanded too quickly, as someone suggested. Maybe their debt load's too great. It's management more than anything. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
eBay now guarantees parts.
Wow.
So guarantees that they're going to be compatible with your vehicle.
Well, we buy a lot of parts that are online, whether it be Amazon or eBay, and I know we return a lot of parts too because we order the wrong things. So it hasn't been really a problem to return any of the things. I don't think we lose any money. So that's a big benefit too for ordering a lot of parts now from Amazon and eBay, is that you can return them and there's no problem. You just have to take it to UPS and get the return label. Am I wrong about that? Because you're making a face.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong.
You're only wrong about part of it. It's been a long time since I've had to return anything to Amazon or to eBay. But there's a chance it's because our team hasn't told me that they ordered the wrong part. But I don't think so.
I feel like we return stuff all the time.
I don't remember the last time I've returned a car part.
Maybe not. I'm not even involved in the business anymore. Next question.
Now, I do process our expense receipts, and I do see returns to AutoZone, which is where we buy them locally when we do that. But there's no issue with that, and you get speed with that. You get a cheaper price with online. So it depends on what
that's the problem. That's why Advance has had to close so many stores, is because we don't use Advance anymore. We use AutoZone.
Mm-hmm. It's because of us.
Yes,
they're closing more than 500 stores.
Yep. Next question.
Got it.
All right, so I gotta stop you because you called me the bad word, and I'm not going to let this continue. So I'm not a YouTuber. I am a car dealer who posts videos on YouTube. We have to get that very, very clear, because my mama did not raise me to be a YouTuber. She raised me to be a used car dealer.
Yeah, of course she did. Well, I do apologize, and I didn't mean to denigrate YouTubers in that manner. And my mother.
No, that was a slide on me, not a slide on YouTubers.
Well, my mother had no idea that YouTube would ever exist one day, but I'm pretty sure if she had, she would have said to me, "Ray, go for it." And well, here I am. What can I tell you?
I'm not quite sure my mom really understands the scope of like what this is. I know, like she watches some of my videos, but like I don't think she understands like the amount of people that are watching this kind of stuff. Like, oh, that's nice. You're making some little videos or something like that. I think she knows it's a pretty big thing, but I don't like whenever you're around people and you tell people like what you do, what do you say?
What do I say?
Yeah,
When
what do you
people
tell
say,
them?
"What do you do?" I say, I'm a pretty face. I'm a talking head. I'm the face of the franchise at Car Edge. I talk to America and try and talk sense to America. And they go, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I go, "Well, I know you find this hard to believe, but my son and I and a dear friend of mine, Car Questions Answered, we have some YouTube channels, and I spend my days trying to figure out what to say to America to make it a better place."
You know what I say when people ask me what I do?
You're a car dealer, a used car
I
dealer.
say I'm a used car dealer. I don't say anything else. And
Well,
it's
I'm not.
interesting. Yeah, my wife is in this room too. She's got a mic in front of her.
Yep.
There she is.
Yeah.
It's funny because me and her are completely opposite on this, because if she gets asked what we do,
Yeah.
she doesn't want to say used car dealer. She would rather say we make
YouTube.
videos
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah.
No, I just start stuttering and I don't really get to the point. These are neither things that I would have had on the list of goals. So
yeah, but now she's a personality on YouTube,
Yeah.
and so she can't run from it, because now it's a part of us at this point. But yeah, I try to not. 'Cause I feel like used car dealer. It comes with negative
Connotations.
yeah. Anyway, that's the word I was looking for. I can't say that word. But I feel like YouTuber is so much worse, because it's like just this big narcissistic, like you talk into a camera, like you put yourself out there in front of other people to watch. That seems so much worse to me than a used car dealer. And it might be because I'm a used car dealer that tries to do the right thing. I don't charge these fees. And it feels like a used car dealer is not a bad profession in my mind, because of how I know how I run my business. And that might be my difference of perception of that versus a YouTuber. And that might be why I gravitate towards that profession, if people are asking me, than the YouTuber kind of profession.
I still, to this day, I don't really think of myself as a YouTuber. I still, for the life of me, don't understand why anybody would give a shit about what I have to say about anything. Okay. Now, having said that, am I thankful that there's enough people out there that do? Yeah, I suppose so. I guess even when I ran automobile dealerships, I always thought of myself as being in the entertainment business. There's that phrase in the car business: the feel of the wheel seals the deal. In other words, you have to get the customer to test drive a vehicle. That way they'll fall in love, and then you'll be able to make a deal. And my saying to my staff always was, if you give the customers a good show, they'll part with their dough. And I just always felt like I was in the entertainment business. This is what I was destined to do. I always thought of myself as being somewhat witty and funny. I tried stand-up. I failed miserably, but I tried it.
Whoa. No. So how do we try stand-up? What does that even mean?
It means you go to an amateur night and you get called up on stage and you perform whatever your routine is that you're going to perform, and your legs get weak and the sweat starts building up on your forehead, and you look for somewhere to sit down and you realize there's no stool, so you just sit on the stage. You're given
hey, screw going to the auction. No, we're going to stand up one night, and we're going to go humiliate each other. Ourselves. No, not each other. That came out wrong. We're going to go humiliate ourselves on stage. That would be way more fun than going to an auction.
Well, I probably not. It might be more entertaining, but it probably wouldn't be way more fun. I know that you're given 5 minutes to make a fool of yourself. And well, I was able to do that in well under 30 seconds.
We do it in 2 hours here every Tuesday. That would be nothing for us.
Yeah, but it's different when there's an audience and they don't laugh.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
a comedy
Yeah.
show. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so that just means they haven't drank enough yet.
I'm not sure what it means. I know I held the microphone here and I would move my head around so people would get like every third word. So how were the jokes supposed to be funny when you couldn't hear the setup or the premise? So yes, I just felt I was destined to be some type of entertainer, and this is the venue in which I get to live out that dream. And I think at times I'm funny, and at times I'm not.
I guess you could have been a clown or a magician, so I think this is better probably.
I think I am a clown, and I am somewhat of a magician because I actually get paid to do this stuff, and that's magical in itself. Hey, if you liked what we talked about today, and I'm not sure why you would, but I'm hoping you did, we need you to not only like this video, but we need you to subscribe. I can't even say subscribe. We need you to subscribe as well.